Okay, guys, I haven't got a nice presentation. I'm going to go quite nerdy on you today because the brief was build something as cool as you can do, and I took that a little bit literal. And today, if you follow me on LinkedIn or if you don't, I talk a lot about agents, right? And the thing with Clay is it's incredibly powerful, but the challenge is Clayagent isn't really an agent in my opinion. Like an agent is the ability to reason with itself and go back and forth and make decisions. So I wanted to come up with a way to basically combine like the power of Clay, which is the simplicity, with something that allows you to be a little bit more complex and actually start to adopt agent-like decision-making processes into the flow. So we're going to use NA10. Does anyone know what NA10 is in here? Anyone using NA10 out of curiosity? No? Anyone using Make? Yeah. Okay, cool. This is like more of like a complex version of Make, and the reason that you would use it is you can build some really cool agents inside of it, and you can self-host it, which basically means it's very cheap to run. It costs like 20 quid and will never cost you more, whereas with Make, the more you kind of use it, the more you start giving to them. So the task for me today was how can I combine my company, which is Trigify, the social signal monitoring, combine that data into Clay, and then start to use agents to create personalized lead magnets. So I imagine all of you have done like a lead magnet in the past, but the challenge with lead magnet is it takes a long time to make, but it can be incredibly like effective, right? So I was like, well, what if we could create automated lead magnets at scale where I did nothing, and the agents would go out and build lead magnets personalized to the individual every time we reached out to them. So the first thing that I did to do this is, and this isn't me self-pitching Trigify, but we use Trigify, right? And so what we're doing with Trigify is we're basically just monitoring anyone on LinkedIn, anyone on social media. So in my case, I'm monitoring thought leaders like Adam Robinson, Chris Walker. You probably all heard of these types of people. And I'm basically seeing any individual that essentially engages with them is going to be auto-pushed through to a Clay table, okay? So the first thing to mention on this particular Clay table, which is really cool, is one, we don't use any Clay credits. So you can put your money into that investment round. You'll have more money there to do that rather than going up on the Clay packages. But two, this Clay table is what we call like an evergreen Clay table. So this campaign I have running for Adam Robinson, every time he posts, I book 5 meetings. It's like clockwork without me doing basically anything. And the concept, as you can see, we're just basically using a webhook from Trigify, and it auto pushes the data in there anytime someone comes in and likes or comments on Adam's post. Now, what we're then doing here is we're looking at basically, let me scroll across, if they're ICP fit, right? Because one of the issues with social media is you get a lot of noise. So the first thing that we're doing with all of this data is we're basically just checking to see if they're like relevant ICP, and we're just using a formula field there, because with Trigify we send like 30 different fields across, so you don't need to do anything, such as a formula field like location, title, things like that. Then what we're doing is just a simple AI check to basically say like, hey, does this post that Adam Robinson or Chris Walker or whoever's basically posted, does it mention some of these key topics? And in my case, I've done like signal-based prospecting, ABM strategies, intent data, things that are relevant to my company, right? But you would do it for what's relevant to yours. Essentially, you're looking to say like, hey, does this post talk about like the pains that my company solves or close to it? Because that's obviously what's important. If it does, it will basically say true or false. We then use a formula field to then say, okay, well, hey, read this post and let me know, basically, from what this post is talking about, what would be an interesting research paper? And so this is where we're now starting to generate the idea for the research paper. And so, for example, it will spit out results like, what's this one say? Like, how can B2B sales consulting firms help organizations overcome ABM platform adoption challenges to ensure successful implementation and value realization? Because what the agent is doing, or the AI and Clay right now, is it's reading the job title, it's reading the company, it's reading the post that they've liked to be like, okay, why does this person like this post? Like, what's relevant to them? And then what would be an interesting research paper? So then we send this through to HeyReach. Other tools are available. We can use Smart Lead, we can use Instantly, we can basically use anything. But the message is really, really simple. And the message is like, hi Nora, I can see that ABM platform adoption challenges is of interest to you. I've actually been working on a little research piece about how insert this variable here basically. Did you want me to share this with you? And then I say at the end, like, PS, go check out Adam Robinson. He posts a lot of good content, right? Because I know that they've already liked their stuff, and I pretend that I don't know. And the reply rate on this is 90%, and they always reply back saying, no way, I actually follow Adam Robinson. So, no shit. And then because I know that they're interested in this subject area, because that's basically what the post is about, they'll say, yeah, like, send that across to me, because that sounds interesting. So what happens then is we have a webhook from HeyReach, which we can see here, which then basically, as the reply comes back, which is just like a reply webhook, the AI checks to see if it's positive or not, and if they wanted that research. Oh. So then what happens, this is where the fun happens. If it's positive, it basically sends it through to the complex side of this workflow that I'm about to show you now, which is NA10, okay? Bear with me on this one, guys. So what's happening here is we've got multiple different agents. And by the way, I'm going to share all of this with you so you don't have to build it. It's basically just plug and play it into Clay and also into NA10. We've got multiple agents now, and they're all going to start to talk to each other as time goes on. So have you all seen like deep research that's OpenAI just announced? This is that. I built it. You don't have to spend 200 quid to do it, basically. And we're using O3, we're using DeepSeek in here through OpenRouter and stuff like that. It's quite fun. But what first of all happens is we get the webhook from Clay, okay? And the Clay, what it's saying is like, hey, here comes the topic, which was that topic that the thing researched earlier, saying like, hey, this is the thing that is interesting for them. And it goes to this agent called the query builder. The query builder basically then says, oh, okay, I'm going to take this topic and then think of like 4 or 5 different other like ways to phrase that topic that would be interesting to then do the research on. So it's starting to like generate the kind of the research parts there. Then it goes through to this research leader. This research leader basically, it's a long old prompt here, I'm not going to go through it all. This research leader basically starts to identify like the key topics that it needs to identify inside of those subject areas. So it works out like the breakdown per paragraph and also how the like research paper needs to be essentially structured, right? Where it then feeds it through to the project planner, which then basically creates the whole, like it puts those 2 pieces together and says, okay, it needs to be an introduction, a conclusion, whatever it is, right? Where it then goes through to these team of research agents, and there's 9 research agents inside here. So basically it's an agent per paragraph that the thing writes. So it could be less, could be more. And these agents will then start to do deep research on the individual subject areas, basically. And you can tinker with this. You can change like the length of these things. You can even get really fun. You can like upload it into like tools like Gamma and stuff like that to share like these lead magnets and gate it if you really wanted to. But it will start to generate all of the content. I'm using Perplexity actually at this point. Perplexity's got like their own version of like deep research as well. So I'm using like a combination of different things in there. Where it then finally goes through to my editor agent. He's like the one who basically puts it all together, makes sure that it looks pretty and nice, formats it for everyone. Where it then goes to a Google Doc, right? And the Google Doc, it creates the Google Doc, it then adds the text to the Google Doc, it then creates the Google Doc to be shared, it then creates me a shared link, where it then sends the data back to Clay table, all right? So we took a little detour out of Clay to do a lot of this fun stuff, right? But that fun stuff basically is then starting to generate things like this, which is tailored to the individual, about their company, about how like B2B would affect them, including citations, which is nice for them. Again, you can tinker with this. I didn't have time to do it, but like I have one also, which is on a laptop where I generate images as well. So you can actually turn this into blogs if you're in marketing and want to do like SEO stuff here for fun stuff. But that then comes back to a different Clay table. So we write it to a different Clay table, which is this one, which has the share link of the lead magnet document, where you then can reply to them through HeyReach or reply to them through like email, Smart Lead, whatever you want to do, But at that point, you'd be like, yeah, no worries, Christian. Here is the document that you asked for, basically, and it's a personalized document without you having to create a new one and think, shit, like I got to go create like 1 million lead magnets the whole time. This just will run on autopilot. Basically, when anyone posts, it will then do it without you doing anything. And like I say, the question isn't really if they reply, because basically everyone replies saying they're interested. Literally, this absolutely smashes it. It's just a challenge of, can you get in their inbox or can you connect with them on LinkedIn? Because you know the relevancy is there because we've used social data. There's interest there. The content that you're creating is really good. It's all automated. You don't have to touch a thing. And that's the workflow that I built. Like I do this all the time. Like 90% of Trigify is basically automated through agents and stuff like this. So yeah, pick my brains on agents, on social data or anything afterwards. Happy to chat about it. I could go on for hours with this stuff, but that is me. Oh, I do have a QR code as well. If you want this agent, scan that. You can get access to the clay table and the JSON file for the agent, so you can use it. And you can also ping me to help you set it up if you want and get it working. But definitely check out like a way of combining, like Make. You can use Make for these types of things as well, but like Make and A10 into your clay tables because it really takes everything to the next level.
That's awesome. Thanks, Max. Another hand. Thank you.